Hello everyone, my name is Raman. Today in this video, I will show you the first game played between Magnus Carlsen versus Sergey Karjakin in the 2016 World Chess Championship. And Magnus Carlsen being the world champion and Sergey Karjakin being his challenger. And this was played on November 11th, 2016 in the city, New York. Okay. Uh, Magnus Carlsen played d4 and Karjakin replied knight f6 and bishop g5. This is a kind of novelty. I mean, a kind of surprise by Magnus. Trombowski, he was not. I mean, he was not. I don't think Karjakin was expecting the Trombowski attack. Okay, d5. And later in the press conference, Karjakin replied that he did see some of his games, some of Magnus Carlsen games playing Trombowski attack, and so he was prepared. But he didn't reply to them. He didn't answer the question whether he was ready with the. He completely look at the game? I mean, look at the complete opening or only till some moves. E3, C5, bishop takes F6, and here we can take either with E pawn or G pawn, but I don't think anyone will capture with E pawn because capturing away the center. Or also, if we capture away from the center, then it's gonna be really problem because after D takes although it opens up the bishop F8 bishop, but still D5 pawn is going to be isolated, and it's really going to be complicated. Very difficult for Karjakin to defend the position, although he's a good defender. Hence, G takes F6 was played, and after D takes C5, knight C6, and here bishop B5. This is a completely unusual. I mean, completely unusual move. I guess Caruana versus Kramnik. I think Caruana went and played the move C3 instead of the move bishop B5. At this point, when a reporter asked, "Are you completely aware of the line bishop b5?" Karjakin didn't answer and said, "Yeah, I did look at the games, and I don't want to answer this question." And he just left that question at that point, and he didn't answer it completely. So I guess at this point of time, Karjakin was thinking for a certain time, and I guess. I don't know whether he was recollecting his variations or preparations, or he was thinking on his own. But mostly, I guess the players are there on their own after very few moves, and knight c6 and knight c6 is a good move. I mean, you can either keeping the options open. I mean, he don't want to commit his bishop immediately. I mean, he don't want to commit his bishop to only f5 square. Hence knight c6 was played, and bishop b5 and e6 was played by Karjakin. He's locking his own bishop, but still, I guess bishop to d7 is a very good option. And c4. When I first looked at the move c4, I thought Carlsen wanted to exchange his queen. I mean, although Carlsen wouldn't exchange the queen so early and then wouldn't be satisfied with a draw. I mean, he will try to press every kind of position, and then he tries to win every game. I was completely shocked. I mean, it's a kind of surprise to me when he played the move c4, and after d takes c4, he immediately played the move knight g2, and bishop takes c5, and knight gf3, and Karjakin castle. But I guess I found an interesting line. I thought bishop to d7, and then queen to either c7 or queen to b6, and then castling on the queen side, and then trying to press Carlsen on through the semi-open g file. I guess this could be a very good attempt by but. As you know, this is the first game of first World Championship game for Karjakin, and I don't think he wanted to take any risk, and he played quite carefully. But I think this could have been tried castling, and Carlsen followed Karjakin, and here bishop e7 was played. I think queen b6 could also have been tried, but uh, queen b6 could have also been tried. Like queen a4 would have followed, and then knight a4, rook fd1, and e5 is a very possible line. But bishop e7, bishop e7 was played by Kajakin, and after rook c1, placing your rooks on the semi-open file. I know here we can capture it immediately, but I don't think it's a necessary move. The pawn is not going anywhere, and hence we can simply wait, develop our pieces, and then capture. And then after knight a5, I guess bishop to d7 is also a possible move, and knight a5, queen c2. I guess when Carlsen plays the move, the idea behind this move can be a possible idea can be placing your rook fd1 and on the as a same file opposite your queen. I mean your opponent's queen. Then he discard after if he's careful, we can play simply knight takes c4, and then we can discard attack can be made, and bishop d7, and bishop takes d7, queen takes d7, and we cannot. Carlsen played the move queen c3. I mean the problem with immediate capture of the c4 pawn is uh, either of any of the rooks can be placed, and it's a pin. Uh, it's a pin, and then uh, you can push your pawn to b5, b7 to b5, and then you can simply gain a piece, and hence queen c3 is a good move that was played, and it is basically attacking opponent's knight and asking Karjakin, are you going to move your knight back, or what are you going to do this? And queen d5 was played by Karjakin and centralizing the queen, a very good move. And after knight takes c4, now knight takes c4 works. I mean now any of the placing any of your rooks against Carlsen's queen doesn't work, because we can simply take the knight with the queen, and knight takes c4, queen takes c4, queen takes c4, rook takes c4, and I thought here rook a8 was going to Kajakin is going to play rook a to c8, but instead he played rook f c8, but doesn't change the nature of the game. Rook fc1 supporting the queen, doubling your rooks, and takes, and rook d8. Rook d8 is nothing but basically it's like mate in one, back rank mate, and at this point Carlsen played the move g3, but I guess g4 could have been played. I mean g4 could have been played because that basically takes away f5 square. G4 could have been tried, G3 was played, but still. And here Karjakin played the move rook d7. The main problem here is Carlsen is invading the black's camp, which is rook through the c7 square, and Karjakin needs to cover the square, and hence he played the move rook d7. But bishop d6 also serves the same purpose, and a possible line could be like bishop d6 and then king f1 and b5 and then rook c2 and then king f8. Although this is still very unclear position, I mean, but still it is almost equal position. Okay, let's get back to the game. After king f1 f5, see now if Carlsen could have played g4 instead of g3 move, he couldn't have allowed this move, and okay, and now I know when you say that till now f6 pawn is guarding the square, guarding e5 square, but once you move the f6 pawn to f5, I know that you got this piece, you got e5 square for your knight, but still that doesn't work out, because when you play knight to e5, then I guess rook to d5, and then rook c7, and then rook takes knight, rook takes bishop, and then rook to b5. I know I'm not moving any of my piece. That's a very good way to improve to improve your game. Visualization. Try to visualize. Try to move the pieces not on the board but instead on your brain, and try to think. Try to see. But that doesn't help anything. I think in this if this was played, I guess white would have been a slight bad than black. I mean, black would have been a slight better. So Carlsen didn't go for that. And after king e2, instead king e2 was played instead of the move knight e5. Yep, bishop f6, guarding the square, guarding the e5 square, and also having an eye, keeping an eye on your opponent's pawn, b2 pawn, and Carlsen supported it with b3, and king f8, h3, and h6. And here Carlsen played the move knight e1, but I guess g4 was also possible, and this is a very interesting line. F takes g4, h takes g4, and now when you look at the board, you will find out that h6 pawn is a very weak isolated pawn, and I guess, I mean, it's not easy to attack, but still you have different possible ways to attack it. Either to the h8 square or h1 square, you could attack the pawn, but it's still not easy. But still, it's a promising line. King e7, rook c1, and then bishop g7, and see again. I mean, you could always go to the go to c8 square, and then possibly go to either a8 or h8 squares, and then attack opponent's pawn. But still, I mean, if not, you could still go there. I mean, go to h1 square and then attack. But I mean, it's still not clear how could Carlsen win. But I mean, this looks promising than what was played in the game. I mean, an interesting line. That's it. King e7, and then knight d3, king d8, f4, and now can you guess what would Karjakin play? I mean, played. It's not about exchanging the rooks. I know most of us would love to exchange the rooks and then go for a draw, but still remember that if you exchange your rooks, I will simply exchange, and then I'll play the move g4, and then after you take, I will take with, and then you will remain with the studded pawn. So I guess first it is important to not allow the g4 move. Hence h5 was played, and now we cannot play the move g4 without either your king support or any other piece support. Without any other support, we cannot play it directly. Hence, okay, Carlsen played the move a4. I guess here knight e5 could also have been played. This is a line I saw in the engine. With the help of the engine, I found out, and knight e5, bishop takes, pawn takes, and rook d5, rook d4 is a completely equal position. I don't think neither of the players could have won this game, and they could have easily drawn. Hence, I think Carlsen didn't win to this line. Rook d5 was played instead of the move rook d7. I mean, rook c7, knight c5, b6, and knight a6. And here Karjakin played immediately bishop e7 without any thinking. I mean, I know it looks tempting to play bishop e7 and then bishop to d6 because it completely covers all the knight moves. Like, knight cannot go to any of these squares without being captured by the bishop. But still, I don't think so. Because it allows it's white to move, and hence knight can be played and to the b8 square and then c6 square, and then we could have and the knight can fork. And hence I guess b5 could have tried, like a takes b5, rook takes b5, and then b4, and then either now bishop d6 and then bishop e7 and then bishop d6 could have tried, or either rook b6 is also fine. Okay, coming back. After bishop e7, knight b8 was played. I guess here Karjakin was in a little bit trouble. I mean, Carlsen was able to press the game, press till now, and a5, knight c6 check, and okay. If you're black here, what are you gonna move? What are you gonna play? Are you gonna move your king to the d7 or the king e8? I know most of us would like to bring king to the center because there are no queens, right? But I don't think d7 is a good move, because after king d7, knight e5 check, king e8, and then rook e7. The whole point of the whole point till we tried is to not to allow the rook to the c7 square. I mean, we shouldn't allow the opponent's rooks to invade to our camp through either the 7th rank or in the 8th ranks. Hence, rook c7, and I mean bishop d6 could also tried, and then rook c8 check, and then complete. I mean, then it's completely fine for both plays. But still, I think Carlsen could have still is pressing the game if this line would have been played. But obviously, Karjakin didn't go for the move d7. Instead, he went to king e8, and after king e5, knight e5, sorry, knight e5, bishops again. Remember that now Carlsen is ready. Carlsen is ready to enter into the Karjakin's camp, and hence you need to close this. Bishop c5, either bishop c5 or rook c5. But I don't think rook c5 is also very good. I mean, he's still playable, but I don't think rook c5 looks promising to me, because when you exchange, there are weak squares, weak pawns on the king side of black camp. So I think he needs to stop exchanging rooks immediately, but he needs to exchange, but later, not immediately. Hence bishop c5 was played, and that's it. The rook is now blocked. Rook c3, king e7, and rook d3, rook takes, king takes. Here there are two possibilities. Either we can take with two main possibilities. Either we can take with the king or with the knight. Carlsen took with the king, but another possibility is knight takes d3, and let us look at this line. Bishop d6, king f3, and king f6, e4, and I guess if Carlsen wanted to go for a win, I guess this should have been tried, because this looks more promising to me than the line played in the game. F takes c4, king takes e4, and king e7, g4, h takes g4, king. I mean, there's completely equal. This is completely equal, but still, if you want to go for a win, I think this should have been the line. This should have been the line that could have been played. Okay. Then after king takes d3, Carlsen or Karjakin obviously kicked the knight off the central square, one of the central squares, and f6 knight, and after knight c6 check, and I guess here knight c4 could have been also been tried. I mean, it could have kept the king away from the d6 square, but still knight c6 check. Knight c6 check have been played, and I guess here Carlsen wanted to go for a draw. And in the king d6, nothing he could have done. Nothing. I mean, king d5, knight b5, king c6, and knight d4 check, and king d6, and knight b5 again going for repetition. But here Karjakin went for king d7 move. I mean, through all phase of the game, Carlsen was trying to press for a win, and then suddenly Karjakin was completely defending, and suddenly he got a chance to deviate, and would like to see. It's all completely about psychological failing. Knight d4, king d6, and here the players agreed for a draw. Thank you for watching this video. I'll try to post the complete games of the World Championship, and I'll try to keep the update, and I'll try to post in my YouTube channel. Thank you. Have a good day. Good luck with your chess. Bye.